All right, you're gonna get a lot of the side of my face in these videos because I'm two screening it. But let's say that someone wants to um, have a student get manually enrolled. This is a pretty common thing. So I'm using the Fusion1234 password here for regCA. We'll log in here and we'll walk you around just a little bit. By the way, if you want to change your password, it's right here. Let's actually start here. And I'm just going to point out to you that this import file history right here, you want to be able to check that this is posting, or in this case, partial posting. It should be posting every day. Partial post just means that like a couple kids are having some error in there, but it's fine. If it is canceled, which it does sometimes when it breaks, that's really bad. So here you can see I didn't, notice for a few days that it didn't work, and then we tried to fix it. So that's us kind of all trying to fix it manually, posting on a few days until I figured out what was broken, fixed it, and then successfully posted it. And then since then, it's kind of partial posted. Usually things that are broken means that 90% of the time it is that we've added a new campus, there's a new student at a new campus, and we haven't actually added it underneath the modify preferences, where we can add different schools into our system. We need to make sure that the name matches up with the name that they have in Salesforce. Or it might actually mean that we haven't set our terms. I've actually never come across this because I've always kind of set them in advance. You can set these well in advance. Okay. Manage users, you shouldn't really need to do kind of it all because we have sort of a default user for every campus at this point. You can make accounts here, or if you wanted regCA to not be your name, you can make another system administrator account that's this, and there's all sorts of like materials that MAP provides explaining what those different accounts are, but we're not going to mess with that. If you're testing, you're going to click here, and that's going to start testing. By the way, common problem that people have when they say, oh, my testing button's not working, it's because they have an active testing session live at that moment, and it's just preventing you can only have one test session at a time. We'll come into reports later, but let's talk about managing students. So suppose I needed to create a new student, and first thing you need to do is find them in Salesforce. And so Reese Calhoun, we'll pick him because he was the most recent one that I added. Generally, when you go here, you are looking to see that they have student ID, a name, gender, date of birth, grade, and that is it. That's all. Those are all the things that you need. Check down here. Usually, it's basically like this. This first box here. You don't need a preferred name or middle name, but everything from here to here. What will happen is that folks will have not put students in the system or want to test them prior to them being enrolled. So they don't have a student ID, they don't exist in the system at all. Or maybe someone screwed up and just didn't put in a birth date, or didn't put in a gender, or didn't put in a grade level. I've seen all three of these happen. DOB is the most common by a long shot. And if they don't have these things, the student won't enroll into MAP. So you can edit them, but then that means that they'll go in overnight. And if their family is there right now, we want to give them that celebrity experience of not having had them come to campus and then say, oops, sorry, we're not ready. So we'll go ahead and manually enroll these students by taking this information. So when we do that, we're going to create students. So we're going to create, pretend we're going to create an heading here. If you don't have a student ID, I recommend doing something extremely obvious and fake like that. That's literally, if you see that, that's kind of a code to yourself that when someone says, hey, something weird's going on with the Nick Henning account, well, that's because after you make this, someone needs to remind you, hey, this student is genuinely enrolled. Can you go fix their account? And if they didn't, and I tell folks that, and if they didn't remember to do that, what will happen is there will be two Nick Henning accounts, one with a genuine student ID, and then this one. They'll go ahead and test Nick Henning with the genuine student ID because he'll enroll in a future term and say, I could have sworn I tested in the past. Well, you did, but we need to merge the accounts. So you'll put in some information in here. If you don't know the birth date, I, again, usually kind of default to something like 1-1, and then I sort of guess based on their grade level or something like that if I know that. Anything with a red star is required. So if you have that for ethnic group, I think it's totally weird that they asked this. I get why, but I don't like it. So I just always put not specified or other. And we also don't know that information, or you don't know that information at this level. Choose the school that they're at. Let's say I'm at LA. The search function for the schools is really, really nice, which is funny because the search function for students is really, really bad and picky. And then we're going to choose that campus, and we always want to use the proctor. Proctor is always the last name of the instructor on every campus, which is very, very convenient. So we can go ahead, add this student, add this term, and then what we would need to do from this point, add this term, and then what we need to do from this point is click continue, and then the last thing is submit. You are not done until you say submit. I'm not going to do it because it's not a real student, and I don't want them to have this in their system, but that's how you would add a new student. We're going to cancel. That's adding kiddos. Let's quickly jump over to reports here and map. And first of all, you should learn what all these reports are. There's lots of materials on that. I'm not going to show you about that. The most important ones for you to understand are, I think, the student profile, the class report, and the family report. Those are the ones that schools are going to use, so you need to understand those so you can explain that to them. There's stuff in here that can or cannot be helpful, depending on how you use it. The operational reports comes in handy every once in a while just for you. You know, looking through to like see test events by status, if like students are suspended or things like that. You can find some funky stuff in here, but generally I don't mess with these too much. However, the thing I really do want you to know about is data export scheduler right here. You can see the last time that I did this was on September 6th. You can see that it's this is 214 kilobytes, which doesn't sound big, but it's a CSV file, and it takes about an hour to 3 hours for them to actually process this report. So if you're processing this report, just be aware it's going to take you a while to get access to it. So you're going to click on enable. You could set up a report where this does this, like pulls this regularly, but that's kind of silly. We don't need that. So I always just do this one time. You pretty much never need the combined data file, but you can mess with that and see what the difference looks like if you want to. We're generally doing the comprehensive here. The combined, by the way, is a nicer version of the comprehensive. However, it's broken down in a way that's annoying, that doesn't get all the students in the way that I like to have it. So mess with them and see what you like, but I always pull the comprehensive. I don't mess with any of this stuff here. We use the 2020 norms data. We aggregate by district. You can aggregate it by school if you prefer for one reason or another. And then you pick your term. So this is the current fall term, but maybe I wanted to pull data from spring or whatever. And then you go ahead and you just click save. And now what this is going to do is it's going to wind up thinking for, you know, whatever, 1 to 3 hours. And I'll just check back repeatedly until this basically is the correct date. If you already pulled something today, it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt. You have to actually kind of open it again and then see if it's in process or if it's ready to download. It will only ever save one export at a time. So if you've done multiple exports, they just start overwriting each other. So you can't like export, 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 and download. You can just do one. Crash course on that.